Watch how one thing leads into another here. Ready? Sicilian Coffee and Pastry House. Beautiful spot, little bit creepy artwork. He's just staring at you whilst you're ordering your order. Huge queue all day, and I can see why. The ice cream was amazing, that I just kept taking photos of it. So if you're ever in Berlin, you gotta go. But it was right next to this place, a hair salon called God Save the Mullet, of which I sent to Justin Medeiros, and he replied. And then here we go, Justin Medeiros. I need to talk about this. This is a story. Now take a look at this duck. Look at this smiley little duck. Dude is just chilling in there, on his way to be reunited back with his family. Who's holding him? Yep, and there's actual footage of him releasing the duck back to the family, and it you know, just real good, feel good to start today's video. Two-time champ and duck saver should be his Instagram bio.
Go, yes! No, please.
All right, after that, I think we need a little bit of a pick-me-up. Here's the Icelandic squad after this weekend's regionals at a bar, just doing what Icelandics do. Celebrate. Yes. Sweet Caroline.
It's my most fun participation in the vlog so far. Thank you.
Oh, I've missed you so much.
Oh, little
I've missed you so much. No, but actually, speaking of Iceland, we've had a record broken by them. And it comes in the form of Annie Thorisdottir qualifying for a 12th individual CrossFit Games appearance. More than any other CrossFit Games athlete individually has ever appeared at the CrossFit Games. 12.
Here we go. See? That's not hard. Let's try it with some rhythm. Here we go.
12 years ago, I was 18, studying a physiotherapy degree at Coventry University.
Who the fuck is that guy?
Also, we can't not mention BKG qualifying for his 10th CrossFit Games. And on the live feed, he said he's just getting better. And he told us why, at the European semi-finals, why there was so many Icelandics there.
I want to say like 90 to 95% of the people sitting up there are from Henkit, my gym. I am a part of why they're here, but they just also want to escape the rain and come here and get faced for like 5 to 7 days.
Björkvin.
Yeah.
Now, over the few weeks of semi-finals, there were a few controversial things happen that maybe shouldn't have. For one, Rich Froning kind of got denied into a CrossFit event. / kicked out / he left himself.
He comes up, proceeds to tell me that he told me that I was not allowed to go out there, and I argued my case of the 10, and he said, you are not attached to one athlete or any team you're not listed as the coach for an athlete or a team. You cannot go out there. So I then removed my coach's pass and walked out of the building. Basically, the story kind of goes that he got promised a VIP ticket and a seat, up to which when he turned up didn't quite come to fruition. He offered to buy a ticket. It's okay, like I'll buy a general admission. They're like, no, we're not doing that. I'm like, someone gave him a coach's band. I'm pretty sure it's the director of the competition. She comes over to me and with a coach's pass. But then restricted his access to where he could go, and he got talked to like a 5-year-old. But then proceeds to talk to me like I'm a 5-year-old, that I've never been to a CrossFit competition, that I need to be out of the way and I can't do certain things, that I can only hang out in the back area. Been there. But
you're not looking for a press box or a skybox.
I wanted nothing but to be able to hang out with the athletes
and watch at a place
in the coaches corral.
Watch in a place where you're not being hindered from watching your athletes.
Exactly. To me, this is such an interesting kind of how do I say it? To me, the only way I can look at this kind of situation is like LeBron James. When he retires from basketball and then he goes back to a basketball game, the people tell him to buy a ticket. Obviously, looking at this from the outside in, Rich Froning has been one of the most impactful personalities in building the sport of CrossFit.
And we're promoting CrossFit, and everything that we do, we promote the brand of CrossFit.
And in my opinion, should be invited to every single CrossFit event with the red carpet rolled out. Obviously, that may come with a few red taped things, like certain areas that he may not be able to go to. But him being at an event is not only good for the promotion of the event, but it's also great for the spectators to be able to see him. It's an experience. And in the past, I've definitely been red taped a lot by CrossFit, and all I try and do is promote the sport of CrossFit, and I feel like Rich Froning does the same. Sometimes we'll call you out, CrossFit, I think so. You know, like when something isn't right, we'll ask the question. But we're here for the growth of it because we love it. I'm actually doing more CrossFit now. I'm back as well. I think this was just a misinformation thing on CrossFit's side, which turned into a big L for them. And speaking to a few of my contacts in CrossFit, I don't think that's going to happen again. And also, they are actually looking at ways to help promote the sport of CrossFit, and they've been speaking to us, which I feel super happy about, in terms of like how we can all come together as creators. I know Don, the new CEO, has been talking to a lot of the brands in the sport who are big supporters, not just socially wise, but monetary wise. He's been speaking to a lot of the coaches, agents, and really figuring out where to go and what's best for the sport in the future. And I feel like, you know, I'm actually positive about it.
I say I'm just fired up to be here today. Pretty cool. Pretty damn cool.
Anyway, moving on. This past weekend at the European Regionals, we saw possibly what is a discrepancy in lane speed of machine during test 4 and 5. The owner and head programmer of the program, John Singleton, that night after the event happened, went into some in-depth, deep analysis of the performance of all of the runners and found that there was a huge discrepancy in placings, especially after some very good runners in that lane placed close to 20th. He has a full video that will be linked down below talking about it, but WOD Science also looked at the data and the analysis, and it came out that there was a significant variance in the runner's performance and result outcome, which basically means that the statistics show that it was not random or by chance. The thing that came out of this as well was that the run wasn't just a sole event, it did impact the placings on the snatch. So if you had one of those runners and it lost you 10 placings, it probably lost you 5 or 6 on the snatch too, meaning a lot of points lost. One of the main reasons that I saw though come up in the comments and what was shared was the vibrations of the athlete running causing the wire to lose connection at times and not register the belt turning. It makes sense. Again, as this sport is developing, it kind of sucks that these things happen, but it's also something that can be fixed going forward in terms of that the calibration of the machine should be on point, especially at somewhere like the semi-final. Because really, this is what the athletes train all year for, and something like this can drastically hinder their overall semi-final experience. Moving on. Talking about the semi-finals themselves, they are now all done and over, so we can get a leaderboard of every single workout that was done by every single athlete and see who placed the best going into the CrossFit Games. Now, obviously there was a discrepancy in flooring. In South America, they used assault bikes instead of echo bikes. The African semi-final was held at 6,000 feet elevation, and some competition floors themselves were wider, bigger, shorter transition times. And finally, the athletes of week 1 didn't have as much to prepare as week 3 for the events, so obviously you've got to take these leaderboards with a little bit of pinch of salt. These leaderboards come from the Barbell Spin. Go check out the full article. But looking at teams, after all the events were done, CrossFit East Nashville, from the North America East semi-final, the hyped team of this year, 40 points ahead of CrossFit Invictus. Looking at the females, I thought this was really interesting. The top 3 come out as all European athletes, the top 3 European athletes. Gabby Magala, Laura Horvath and Annie Thorisdottir, with Danielle Brandon taking up that 4th spot. 5 through 10th looking like this, and 11th through 15th looking like this on the female side. And then on the male side, after all the events were said and done, Pat Vellner was on top from the North America West, followed by Jason Hopper and Jeffrey Adler. That top 5 dominated by North America, which was kind of in contrast, obviously, to the women, Europe dominating. Lazar, who won the European Regionals, overall after all the events, taking 9th worldwide, with Justin Medeiros coming in at 11th. The 2-time and the reigning champ. Quick question to you guys. Did you like the programming? Put it down in the comments below. I'd like to know. I feel like it did favor a bigger athlete for semi-finals. The sled and the machines, the snatch, Linda, but it was good to watch. And quickly, just speaking of programming, from Brian Friend, I thought this was really interesting. He put it out, 73 women and 23 men scored 0 reps on test 2 at this year's semi-finals, which was the ring muscle-up one. Now, I hear you saying, why did Pat Vellner come out on top? Well, he told us on Instagram how he did it. He said, I had an advantage in this workout because I went to school longer than most of the guys. That was the one with the ruck, because Patrick Vellner has just finished school as a chiropractor, I think it's chiropractor. Hopefully I haven't offended him there. But all that school work with a bag. A couple of other interesting bits of news that I saw was Jennifer Moore, who had a very up and down weekend at the European Regional, was the first ever CrossFit semi-finals athlete from Scotland.
So what are you supposed to be?
I'm Scottish!
Jacob Hepner, when he competed, he used to have a kind of ritual where he'd put a smiley face in the number of 0 on his leg when he competed. And Olivia Kersetter, who he coached, did the same, and he said he's glad to see this continue 8 years later. If you ever have an O and you're at a competition, put a smiley face in there. She took 7th at the North America West semi-final, and here's a photo that may make you feel old. Wild. With idols, and now she's going to the games. Katrin Stav's daughter has the most winningest dog. Took it up on the podium. That dog living the dream up there. And then speaking of dogs, Sarah Sigma's daughter, after this week's regionals, went home to Iceland and did a different sort of competition with her dog Simba, in which they took 2nd place. You love to see it. And then in today's final few bits of news, Mark Zuckerberg posted on Instagram saying that he did Murph on Memorial Day in a time of 39:58, wearing a 20-pound ruck. Now that's fast. One of the richest men on earth, creator of Facebook. If you just love watching CrossFit, then on June the 30th, we're gonna get a new movie, and it's called Fittest on Earth Retroactive. And it's the story of the CrossFit Games with Tia and Justin Medeiros. And you can actually pre-order it now if you wanna sit there and wait for it to be released on Apple TV, Amazon, Xbox, and other platforms. That's pretty cool. Jake Douglas, after qualifying for the CrossFit Games, you know, the Traposaurus Rex, the giant, the absolute tank, nicest guy on earth, Korg, from Guardians of the Galaxy, got inundated and bombarded with steroid comments. But I saw this from Royce on his story, and it just made me laugh a little bit. It said, it's actually flattering how many people think you're on gear. Won't be cramping in Madison with the amount of salt they're feeding you. I'm like, interesting fact actually about Jake Douglas is he's been on the WADA drug testing list for a long time, from professional rugby, weightlifting, and now into CrossFit. So he's probably the most tested guy out there on the field. And then speaking of the field, neighborhood in Las Vegas names their street after Pokemon. I would love to live on Charizard Lane. What a great thing, you know, nostalgia. I bet the house prices go up a lot with stuff like that. Anyway, team, if you have enjoyed today's video, please do smash that like button, you absolute legends. Get a free month on Whoop and a free Whoop 4.0 on us with the link down below. Give it a go. Now that I'm doing more cardio, it's telling me that I'm unfit, but we're working on it. Head over to hustlemade.com for the sickest clothes in the game. You guys are absolute legends. The cargos are nearly sold out. We only have them in green and black left. Training and lifestyle, you know, like, can't go wrong. And if no one's told you today, you're an absolute legend. Have a beautiful day. We'll catch you in the next one.